Not all quadratic equations can be solved by extracting the square roots and by factoring. That is why the third method, which is the completing the square, can be used to solve this type of equations. Okay, let's take a look at x squared minus 4x minus 8 equals 0. And we want to solve this quadratic equation by completing the square. So the first step that we have to do is to divide the entire equation by the coefficient of x squared. But in this case, a is 1. Okay? Remember that the coefficient of x squared is a, which is 1. So, walang mangyayari sa ating equation, as is pa rin. Next is to move the constant term to the right side of our equation. And now we have x squared minus 4x equals 8. Now let's complete the left side to make this a perfect square trinomial. So, anong idadagdag natin sa left side para maging perfect square trinomial na siya? But remember, kung ano man yung idagdag dito, yun din idadagdag sa right side. So, simply take half the coefficient of x. So, negative 4 divided by 2, and then square it. So, negative 4 divided by 2, square. So, yan din yung idadagdag natin sa right side. By simplifying, we now have x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 8 plus 4. Take note, negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, square, positive 4. Notice that x squared minus 4x plus 4 is now a perfect square trinomial. So meaning, we can express this as a square of binomial. So how do we factor a perfect square trinomial? So we simply take the square roots of the first and the last term and the sign of the middle term. So we have x minus 2 and then we square it. Square equals 12. By taking the square roots on both sides, we have x minus 2 equals. However, square root of 12, hindi kaya. But we can simplify this by expressing 12 as a product of two factors wherein one factor is a perfect square. And that is 4 and 3. So now by simplifying, we have x minus 2 equals plus or minus 2 square root of 3 because the square root of 4 is 2. By addition property of equality, we have to eliminate negative 2 on our left side, and so we have x. Okay, by adding 2 on both sides of our equation, we have x equals 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 3. Now, by separating our solutions, we have x is equal to 2 plus 2 square root of 3, or x is equal to 2 minus 2 square root of 3. And this is now our answer and our roots to the quadratic equation x squared minus 4x minus 8 equals 0. Another example, let's say 2x squared plus 6x minus 4 equals 0. So, to solve this by completing the square, first step is to divide all the terms or the entire equation by the coefficient of x squared or simply the value of a. In this case, that is 2. So, dividing all the terms by 2, we now have x squared plus 3x minus 2. Next is to move negative 2 to the right side. We have x squared plus 3x equals 2. Completing the left side of our equation to make this a perfect square trinomial, we have this. Okay, so take half the coefficient of x. So we have 3 divided by 2 and then square it. So, yan yung idadagdag natin sa left side at sa ating right side. By simplifying, we have x squared plus 3x plus, okay, 3 squared is 9, 2 squared is 4, equals 2 plus 9 over 4. 9 over 4, 9 over 4. By simplifying again, we have 8 plus 9 over 4. Paano nangyari yun? Because 4 times 2, mas madaling technique, 4 times 2 is 8. And then plus 9 all over 4. By simplifying, we now have, okay, 8 plus 9 is 17. Remember that. And then here, we can now factor this as x plus 3 over 2 squared is equal to 17 over 4. Okay, square root na x squared is x, square root ni 9 over 4 is 3 over 2, and then square. By taking the square roots On both sides of our equation, we now have x plus 3 over 2 is equal to positive, negative, the square root of 17 over 2. Because 4 is a perfect square, so the square root of 4 is 2. However, 17 is not a perfect square number, so square root of 17 pa rin. By addition property of equality, we want to move this positive 3 over 2 to the left side, so that x na lang yung matitira. So by adding negative 3 over 2 on both sides of our equation, we now have x is equal to negative 3 over 2 plus or minus the square root of 17 over 2. By separating the two solutions, we now have x is equal to negative 3 plus the square root of 17 all over 2, or x is equal to negative 3 minus the square root of 17 all over 2. And that's it. And that's how we do completing the square when we solve for the roots of the quadratic equations. And that's it. I hope you learned something today. Thank you for watching.